You know, we're all writing a book. What's your book look like? You got a bunch of chapters in your book, but when they close that book, how good was the book? How good was your book? If the ending to my book can be so amazing because of all that was done, all of the things that can be associated with you and your existence become a part of the chapters in your book. So my drive is about my book.
You got to come up with some times in your life that you unplug from this crazy world. Turn your phone off. We live in a world today that's got us so focused on everybody else that we're comparing our life to everybody else's life, and anxiety and fear come whenever you start dwelling on the past and whenever you're afraid of the future.
An anxious and a worried mind is not normal, but you know what? You're going to worry until you finally realize that it's useless. It doesn't help your problem. Doesn't solve your problem. All it is us saying, I think if I think about this long enough and worry about it long enough, I can figure something out. That's not going to work.
The only way that you actually step into happiness and joy is when you put the focus on where you are at and get engaged with the thing that you're doing.
It is a satanic espionage that has come against you for such a time as this, and you're being attacked in ways you don't even understand. You get depressed and you don't even know what you're depressed about. You'll be driving down the road and you feel like, I don't even want to go to work. I don't even want to be me. Look at how extreme it is. It's not just I don't want to go to work today. I'm sick of being me. You feel like crying and you don't even know what you're crying about. It is a satanic attack attacking your mind.
Because after you've spent all night spinning, all day spinning, in your head, and what if they, and you know, it starts with the most innocent thought. It's not, the devil's been at this a long time, sweetie. He's not gonna give you a bad thought. He's gonna try to give you an innocent thought and get you to take it in the wrong direction. A scenario that on the surface doesn't seem that bad, but it's the way you spin it. It's like Fox News and CNN. It's one story they're telling, but it's spin in different ways. And it's how you spin it that determines how you see it.
Worry is like rocking in a rocking chair all day. It keeps you busy but gets you nowhere. At the end of the day, you'll still be in the exact same spot. Just go back and forth.
What's the old story you keep repeating? Maybe it's not a success. Whatever you've achieved up to this point, that story you keep talking about, every second you spend in that old story about what you've achieved, your degree, some business you had, every time you live in that story, you're stripping time and focus from the new story. What's the new story you're telling yourself? You can't have a new identity without a new story.
One of the things that you need to let go, some things that have cost you pain, that's stifling your growth and development. What are those things? What is it that you need to do to begin to upgrade your skills or your knowledge? As you begin to look at yourself and ask some of these questions, what is something that you're good at? Let's think about these things. What would you do if you had 1 year to live and guaranteed success in anything you decided to do?
Don't waste another minute trying to convince someone to like you, to come see you. If you have to talk them into it, they are not for you. They are a distraction. It's not your job to straighten them out. Let God fight your battles. Don't fight battles that are not between you and your destiny. You're not supposed to engage in every conflict. You have to keep your face set. Most of the things that come against us are simply distractions.
Now you can keep on the same path for the next couple of years as you have the past two. But if you need to make some changes, I'm telling you can start doing it today so that the next 2 years will be drastically different than the last two. And anybody who wishes to do that can. And you can do it between ages 40 and 43. You can do it between ages 60 and 62. Any 2 years, any 5 years that you wish to drastically change from the previous 5, you can do it.
You're not the nut you used to be, but you're not the tree you're gonna be. But until you learn how to appreciate where you are in the process, you won't get the power to evolve to your ultimate destiny. It's not what's happening to you that's hurting you. It is the threat of what could happen to you that is stealing every good day you got. You can't enjoy the good days because the enemy is threatening you, so you don't get any peace when things are well, and you don't get any peace when things are bad. Because when things are good, you're worried about them going bad. And when they're bad, you're dealing with what bad happened, and you haven't had any rest. You've had sleep, but you haven't had rest. You're tired when you get up. You're tired when you go down. You are up under attack.
Because whatever you identify as the source of your stress determines what you consider the source of your peace. And that's why I don't like to blame people for my stress. Because if people brought me the stress, then I need people to change for me to have peace. But I'm past the point in my life of wanting for people to have to act a certain way, for me to have peace in my own heart.
Every morning when we wake up, we need to empty out anything negative from the day before. Somebody offended you at work. It's easy to let that offense stay. Feels good to carry around a grudge, but you have to be disciplined. Say, no, I am not giving this offense any room. They hurt you once. Don't let them continue to hurt you by holding on to the offense. Being offended is not harming them, it's harming you. It's taking up space you need for the good things that move you toward your destiny.
It's just not happening as fast as I thought it would. I thought by now I would have had the promotion. I thought by now that I would have had a breakthrough. I thought by now I would have paid off my bills. Oh, but friends, I wish today that we had a pantry door measuring stick for your faith. If you could look back throughout the years, what you would discover is that mark by mark, you have been maturing. You have been growing. It's just been little by little. I know you're not where you want to be yet, but baby, you have come a long way. You're growing gradually.
We need to grow emotionally. You can't keep crying about the thing you cried about last year. You can't keep complaining about the thing you complained about last year. You have to learn. You're growing. You can't keep being overwhelmed by what you were overwhelmed with last year.
What is no longer needed? What emotion, what anxiety, what thought, what belief, what person is no longer needed in my life? I never tell the old story. I don't like telling the old story. I'm constantly trying to write the new script, become the new character in my life. It could be the new beliefs I have. It could be the new story, but I'm constantly retelling a new story all the time. I'm constantly obsessed with writing the next chapter of my life, not reading the previous ones.
It's one thing to cry about that last year, but you've grown. You learned that lesson. Don't go backwards, move forwards.
You're in love with tomorrow, but you're neglecting today. And when God sees you neglecting today, he will not give you tomorrow. Until you are faithful over the few, you cannot be ruler over the many.
There are going to be times when your circumstances are inconsistent with your dreams. And in those moments, you have two choices. Number one, you can reduce your life to your present circumstances, give up on it. Or you can believe your life will catch up with your dream if you won't quit and won't give up. Never allow circumstances to change the dream God has put in your heart. Never.
If it works, it's obsolete. Because whatever it is, it will be obsolete before long. And this is something I think each of us should check ourselves against regularly, weekly, if not daily. We should ask ourselves, what am I still doing the old way? Have I dug myself a rut or two that I'd be better off to climb out of?
The next time something comes against you, ask yourself, is this a battle worth fighting, or is it simply a distraction? That coworker that leaves you out, doesn't give you credit, do you think they can stop your destiny? That somehow they're more powerful than what God has ordained for you?
It is a spiritual attack that comes against you in spiritual ways. And because you are up under attack in your spirit, in your mind, in your emotions, you are lonely. No matter who you're around, no matter how many people know you, you end up alone because you are up under a private battle that you can't talk about.
Just take maybe 2 or 3 minutes and ask yourself, what do I need to do today to challenge me, to reach my potential, fulfill my strengths and the purpose that I have in my life? If you challenge yourself and follow through on it, it'll be the greatest challenge and give you the highest return of any challenge that you'll ever receive.
You must prepare for success, even if there is no indication of it. You must prepare for success, even if you have become accustomed to failure. Take the time to prepare, and prepare hard.
The greatest value in life is not a bank account. The greatest value in life is not a car. The greatest value in life is this: make a note, living a good life. In the midst of all of our achieving and building and growing, helping other people, being a part of society and the country and the world, being all of this stuff, here's what you must figure out all of your life: how to continually live a good life.
I know there's something in you. I know something about you. And there's something in you saying, I want more. I want more. I want to be happier. I want to fall in love again. I want to do more than where I am right now. You never know. This might be the day.
Most people will not challenge the unknown. They won't just step out there. See, there are certain things that's got to be in place. They got to see it all together. And life isn't like that. That's not how you grow. So as you look at your life, as you begin to look toward the future, you're saying, I'm not getting what I want. Begin to know that whatever it takes for you to create that, you got that in you. You got that.
Identify your gift and get busy with it. God gave all of you a gift. It is the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort. That's your gift. Get busy at that. He put that gift inside of you. He didn't hide it under a rock or put it under the mountain or put it on the mountain somewhere. He put the gift in you. That's how you become successful. Identify your God-given gift, what he gave you at birth, and get busy with it.
Now, some of you that said, you know what? I'm taking a chance on me. I'm going to build something for me. This is the entrepreneur's economy. Don't give up on that. Hold that vision tenaciously. Through all the frustrations, through all the failures, I've built my business on rejections, on who do you think you are?
When you look at your life and start asking yourself a question, what does my life look like right now? What does it look like something I want to be in? Ask yourself that. What does your life look like? And what's the benefit of holding on? What's the benefit of being afraid? What's the benefit of not trusting yourself? What's the benefit of staying right where you are, a place that you don't like to be? What's the benefit? Don't let no's intimidate you. Don't let not knowing where to start intimidate you. Leap anyway.
Of the 5 things that you would like to do if you had the courage to do, I want you to pick one thing, and here's how to set it up for yourself that will help free you and get you unstuck. What is the worst thing that can happen if you do it? But let's say going into business for yourself, or changing careers, or getting a divorce. Do the worst case scenario. Now, when you do the worst case scenario, you write those things down, the worst things that you fear would happen. When you name your fears, that puts you in control. What are you afraid of?
I think there's a different level for you. I think there's a different level for you to get obsessed, crazy, laser focused. I say all the time, our obsessions become our possessions. When you're laser obsessed focused, your obsession distracts you from what you're currently doing, not the other way around. You're not really obsessed with it if you're easily distracted from it. And so the only way we get to that ultimate version of ourselves is by replacing ourselves and growing all the time. This has to become an addiction for you. For too many of us, we like to grow. And every time you don't make it an emergency, it's not a crisis, you're not in a hurry, you never get there. And the truth is, whether you know it or not, you are either growing or you are dying.
Get better. There isn't any of us that can't get better, starting a few steps from here at that convention. I'm telling you, for things to get better, you got to get better. Don't ask for it to change out there. Ask for you to change here. Don't ask for a more favorable wind. We call that naive. Just ask that you can get wiser and stronger and better. Learn how to handle the seasons better. Let's go through them. Just get better at handling the winters. You can't change the seasons, but you can change yourself.
We need to grow. You need to grow, and it needs to become an intention of yours. It needs to become an obsession of yours. You can't always acquire the things you want, but you are in control of acquiring the next version of you. And that requires being uncomfortable. That requires growth.
Get stronger. You can develop the muscle. You can develop the courage muscle. You can develop the dedication muscle. You can get stronger. Style, personality, the ability to cope, the ability to handle with anything that happens, no matter what happens.
What is your wake-up call? What is controlling your thoughts? Is it the television set? Feeding your mind images of what life should be? Is it drugs or alcohol numbing your brain and diminishing your desires? Or is it weakness, a lack of discipline that prevents you from accomplishing what you want to accomplish?
If you quit, whatever you were trying to accomplish can never happen. If you quit, there is no chance of it popping back up again, coming back later. Quitting is guaranteed failure. When you're trying, you're going to fail. You have to make sure that your dreams and goals are so big that not accomplishing them is not an option.
I'm not saying that there aren't things in life that we just have to do. There are. But what I am saying is ask questions. Don't believe everything that you're told, and don't follow the path just because it's there. Don't get in line just because other people are. Get up. Be conscious of what is creeping into your mind. What are you letting in there? What is forcing itself in there? You have only one life, so don't waste it.
Take inventory of what you're giving space to. Life is too short to go through it with negative things holding us down.
Every action and every discipline today is a link in the chain. Every action and every discipline in the future is a link. When you can see that every link in the chain will eventually lead you to the things you want most out of life, then you won't grow discouraged or impatient with today. When you can see where you're going through visual chain thinking, even on the toughest days, you'll keep building your ambition by knowing where you're going, not just where you are today.
It's easy to go around worried about our future, stressed over our finances. We're tempted to live guilty because of past mistakes. We wonder why we don't enjoy life, why we can't sleep at night. It's because our mind is cluttered. You weren't created to live guilty, bitter, upset. If you're going to reach your destiny, you have to clear out the clutter. You can't stop negative things from coming, but you can keep them from staying. You don't have to hold on to it.
Your plans and goals are your visual chain, knowing where you're going before you get there. Develop a plan, a game plan. Here's the first rule for your game plan of life. Don't start your day until you have it finished. Don't begin your activities of the day until you know exactly what you plan to accomplish. Don't start your day until you have it planned. The value is the fruitful result of discipline, not hope. Once you've mastered the art of planning your day, you're ready for the next
When
level.
we make mistakes, guilt will come, telling us how we don't measure up. You can hold on to it, go around down on yourself, or you can let it go. You have to be proactive when it comes to keeping your mind in peace, because all through the day there's clutter. There's noise, there's jealousy, there's hurts, there's offense. They may come, but you don't have to hold on to it.
anyone that wishes to have power over others, anyone that can do things to people and have no empathy for the consequences, is themselves in a tiny box of perception. What the Illuminati and what the manipulators have done, and they've done it brilliantly, I have to say, because they may not be wise, but they are clever on an intellectual level. Cleverness without wisdom is the most destructive force on earth. That's why we are in such a state that we're in. You know, it's very clever to know how to build an atomic bomb, but it's not wise to do so. There is a difference between cleverness and wisdom. But on an intellectual level, they're very clever. And what they've done is manipulate humanity through the suppression of knowledge and these other means into a smaller box than they're in. But we have the potential to get out of the box. Well, they have the potential too, but far less potential because they're so caught in this mentality that they're in of control. And what is control? Control is massive, massive insecurity. That's what these people are, the Illuminati and these reptilian entities and all the rest. They are consumed by insecurity and fear themselves. That's why they know how to manipulate fear and insecurity so well, because they're connected to it so powerfully. People who are insecure want to control everything because they're not secure enough within themselves just to go with the flow of life and see where it goes. Secure people don't need control over other people. Insecure people do. And I use this analogy a lot because it really kind of encapsulates it for me. Our natural state is not what we have been experiencing in known human history anyway. Our natural state is where we're going, and more people are opening up to. And I use this analogy like the natural state of a ball is floating on the top of the water, floating on the top of the tank or whatever. To keep it in an unnatural state, you have to push it down to the bottom of the water. You can't let it go. You have to constantly hold it there. And that's why, as I've been describing today, and I could describe a lot more, we have been subjected to multi-levels of suppression and manipulation from the things we eat, the electromagnetic fields we come into contact with, the way that we're manipulated through words, etc., and religion and belief systems. All those things are necessary to hold us in an unnatural state of being unconscious. And why are all those things necessary? Because we are amazing, infinite, eternal genius. And we've been held in this unnatural state. But, like I say, if you're going to hold the ball in the unnatural state, you've got to hold it there. Because the moment you let it go, woof, it's in its natural state, because that's where it will gravitate to immediately. And the moment we throw off the chains and the shackles of this manipulation and of this misunderstanding of who we are and where we are, then as we break those chains, those vibrational chains, we are going to become conscious by definition, because that's what we are. You know, people think, I've got to seek enlightenment. No, we are enlightened. That's our natural state.
The law of awareness says you must know yourself to grow yourself. James Russell Lowell, in your notes, no one can produce great things who is not thoroughly sincere in dealing with himself. What a powerful statement that is. You and I need to become aware of who we are, and we need to know what our passion is. We need to know what our purpose is. When people talk about themselves and trying to find themselves, I immediately talk to them about what is your passion, what is your purpose. Let me kind of walk you through this kind of quickly of how to figure this out, because this is so important in your awareness. The first question I would ask you about your passion is, do you like what you're doing now? Surprisingly, the majority of the people, when I ask them that question, say no. And this amazes me. I'll be just having a conversation. Hey, do you like your job? You know what? Most people say they don't. And sometimes they'll even look at me and say, well, you know, I don't really care for my job. What would you advise me to do? And then they don't like my advice, because when somebody tells me they don't like their job, I just immediately say, well, I'd quit. I have no idea. Now, please, maybe some of you can help me in the audience today. I have no idea why somebody would do something every day that they didn't like. This is beyond me. Why would a person go and do a job that they don't like and complain about it all day and call it life? And to be honest with you, I don't want to work beside him either.
Because it's bad enough for them to be miserable in their doing, but when they're miserable what they're doing, guess what they do to you? They make you miserable. Haven't you just been beside miserable before? You know what I'm saying? You kind of felt good, but by the end of the day, you felt bad. And you say, well, what did I do to feel bad? You sat with that person. You know what I'm saying? So when people say, well, I don't like my job, what kind of advice do you give me? This is an IQ test. Quit. Why would you, I'm still, it's beyond me. Why would you every day do something what is your passion? And yet I know people who literally spend their whole life, no wonder people look forward to retirement. They can hardly wait to get out. It's almost like prison. They're going to be free at last. The second question is, what would you like to do? Because there is a relationship between finding your passion and reaching your potential. That's a fact. What would you like to do? Let me just, since we're talking about personal growth, say that if you would have known me when I was in school, junior high and high school, I tell parents all the time, when parents are worried about their kids because their kids just seem to be goofing off, and they say, boy, my kids just don't seem to be buckling down. I always say, just relax, take a pill. Because if they would have seen me as a kid, as a parent, they would be greatly encouraged. Because when I went to school, it was nothing but party. There was one wonderful thing about school was your friends. And I had a whole bunch of friends. And I didn't do studies. My study hall was going around visiting my friends. That was kind of like fellowship time for me. And I was playing ball and I was enjoying myself. And I didn't get good grades. And I just basically, I was smart enough to wing it and get through high school. If you just hang in and breathe, you get there. You know what I'm talking about. So it's not like a huge accomplishment. It's, can you just stick around long enough? They'll pass you. They kind of pass you up. You know what I mean? And my dad and I, we had these long talks. My dad and I have these long talks. He said, John, you just don't seem to be disciplined. You don't seem to be focused. You just want to play ball and be with your friends. And you're right. And I wasn't. When I went to college, it turned around immediately. Because when I went to college, I was going to get a do now and study for something I wanted to go do. And immediately I made the dean's list. Immediately I disciplined myself. Immediately I started studying. Wasn't really any problem. But can I tell you something? The reason I didn't do it in high school is because I wasn't getting what I wanted to get to go where I really wanted to go. In the moment, me being pragmatic, that I found that I got the subjects down and I could study, they were going to prepare me for the ministry. I got all excited, passionate, the whole process. So you got to ask yourself, what would you like to do? Because when you find what you'd like to do, that ignites your passion. And when your passion is ignited, that begins to increase your potential. That's when you start moving up the potential ladder.
The consciousness is not an object. You could never say, there it is. That's actually, Jesus said literally when they asked, when does the kingdom of heaven come, or where is it? Kingdom of the sky. You can never say, there it is, or it's over there. That's what he literally said. So you can't say the consciousness, this is the analogy, the sky is the consciousness. Not the only place where it's also used sometimes in Chinese, ancient Chinese spirituality, philosophy, Taoism, and so on. The heaven, the sky, the vastness of it, but it is intangible. It does not exist in the same way that consciousness does not exist, because exist, that word means ex is from the Latin out. Ist comes to stand, it stands out. Something that exists stands out into this world. It projects itself into this dimension. But the sky does not exist because you can never find it. And the consciousness does not exist in the way that something out here exists. It is the ground for existence. It is the being before the being becomes something. So there is being and there is existence. The being, very different. It sounds almost like an obscure existentialist treatise, being and existence. But that is why people like Jesus use the sky as the closest he could get to explaining what the unconditioned consciousness is. And so when you look at the sky, the equivalent of the vast emptiness or spaciousness of the clear sky is your inner spaciousness or emptiness. And you can never say, it can never become an object for yourself in the same way as I see the table, or there I'm now aware of the consciousness. You can't be aware of the consciousness because the awareness is it. So there's no duality. You can't make it into an object. And that means when you are rooted in that dimension within yourself, that is very different from the form identity, the egoic identity. In the egoic identity, you have made yourself into an object of consciousness, starting with, as we mentioned the other day, the pool of water in which Narcissus saw himself, the ancient myth. And so that was the beginning of human consciousness forming an image of itself and mistaking the mental image for who you are.
Where do you get your self-confidence? You can't buy it at the store, folks. Can't dress it up. Can't eat it. You can't buy it. You can't even manufacture it yourself. You have to go build self-confidence. This is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, okay? Because I remember being 25 years old, scared to death of people. 29 years old, started my speaking career, terrified of the people I had to go to. Didn't call on anybody for a year because I was literally frozen in fear. And one day somebody said something to me, dude, you need to handle your self-confidence issue. So I went and bought a suit, and I didn't feel any better. I went and bought a car, didn't feel any better about myself. I mean, I felt a little better for a second. Look, self-confidence is the only outfit you can't buy. This is an inside job. You got to study, you got to learn, you got to practice, and you have to do the hard things. Self-confidence comes from repeating experiences that are difficult. Same place courage comes from. You know, the guy that does something that's courageous is given the title of being courageous. It's not because he went and wore courageous. It's because he went and did something. Look, if you want to build self-confidence, you can listen to the subliminal tapes. It's not going to work. You can go do hypnotism. It's freaking ridiculous. You need to be more aware, more alert, and you need to do more. Some of the ideas that people are throwing at you guys right now to build your self-confidence, you're going to eat different and feel better, you're going to do this and feel... Look, you need to get in front of people. Do the things you're scared to do to get the self-confidence you want to have. Period. It's not on sale. It's not at Bloomingdale's, Macy's. It's not at Toyota. It's not on the radio. Dude, it's an inside job. I can't help you with it. You got to take what I'm giving you in these blurbs, blabs, streams, scopes, cats, whatever you're calling it, the posts, the streams, the Instagrams. Hey man, I need to take that and start applying it in my life. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself feeling worse and worse and worse about yourself. You want to go walk on fire? Go do it. Is that going to build your self-confidence? I doubt it. Okay, I doubt it, man. Go spend $8 grand on a weekend. That will not improve your self-confidence. The only thing I know for sure that will change your sense of self is the actions you take getting in front of other people. Other people. People you don't know. People you're scared to talk to. You're sitting there trembling. Do your pitch until you don't tremble anymore. Self-confidence, an inside job. It's not a suit you put on. It's not a car you drive. This is not something you buy. This is something you develop.
When you just begin to do the things you tell yourself you're going to do, you begin to build self-confidence, which is this reputation with yourself. So ask yourself a question right now. What is one thing right now, one promise I can make to myself that I'm going to begin to keep starting this minute and begin to do it? It could be how often I'm going to pick up a book and read it. But you begin to stack things you commit to do, and then you deliver on them and you acknowledge them to yourself. You're in the process of building self-confidence. Why is that so important? Of all the athletes I coach, when my athletes are performing at their peak level, They're at their highest self-confidence level. In fact, I love when I watch some of the athletes I coach get interviewed and they kind of do this aw shucks, humble routine in their post-game interviews. Yeah, you know, just part of the team, you know, I could have done a lot better today. But inside, I know these people are incredibly self-confident people. Any of you athletes listening to this, you know this. The great athletes you know have incredible amounts of self-confidence. You have to believe in you when it's a battle, when you're a hitter against a pitcher, or when you're a quarterback against a defense, or you're a defenseman in the NHL against their best offensive player, or you're a golfer and you have to make a 9-foot putt to win a tournament, right? You better have self-confidence. In fact, the separator, more often than not at the highest level in sports, is not they're a better shooter or a better putter or throw the ball a little bit faster, because everybody throws hard in the major leagues nowadays, it seems, right? That separates their self-confidence. It's true in being a parent. It's true in being a business person. It's true in every area of our life. The separator at the top levels is self-confidence. So now you have that first thing that you're going to commit to, that you're going to deliver on. Now, what I would ask you to do, that now that you've done that, is if you really want to build self-confidence, can you begin to extend that list of 5, 8, and 10 things that you are going to begin to do, that you commit to you, that you're going to do every single day to begin to stock that self-confidence? There's also this misconception from people that you are certain things, meaning some people have this misconception that I am what I possess. In other words, I am my possessions. And so they link their self-confidence to their possessions. And so they're constantly trying to acquire more and more possessions, thinking that's where they get their self-confidence from. That's how they're defined as a person. I am my possessions. Couldn't be further from the truth. It's a hollow way to try to gain self-confidence by possessing things. Nothing wrong with going for material possessions. I have all kinds of them. But I don't link my confidence to those possessions, nor am I deluded into thinking if I could just possess more things, then I'll feel better about myself. So this is a mistake. There's a flawed thought. Number one flawed thought, I am my possessions. Second flawed thought, I am my accomplishments. In other words, my self-confidence is only linked to what I accomplish. So because I haven't accomplished certain things, I don't have that certain title, that certain award, that certain recognition, I don't believe in myself. I'm riddled with self-doubt. I'm defined by my accomplishments. The difficult thing about that is now all your life you're going to have to accomplish more and more and more in order to feel self-confident and eliminate self-doubt. You are not your accomplishments. You are not your possessions. You are you. You are perfect. You are beautiful. You were born to do something great with your life.
Where does self-confidence come from? And this is the best advice I can give you on that. Not neglecting, first of all, the small daily disciplines. Self-confidence really comes from feeling good about yourself. And one of the best ways to feel good about yourself is at the end of the day to know that you poured it on. You did your best. If you conducted a meeting, you did the best you could. If you made a phone call, it was the best phone call you could possibly make. If you wrote a letter, it wasn't a casual letter, it was your best letter. At the end of those kind of days, when you feel good about yourself, self-confidence starts to rise. You know that if you can have this kind of a good day, you can have another one the next day, and those days become the weeks become the months, and the month becomes a powerful year. Self-confidence comes from the lack of neglect. If you will not neglect to do the small daily disciplines, that's where self-confidence comes from. Part of good health is self-confidence. I know I'm going to be healthy. I take the Herbalife products. I eat the apple a day. I walk around the block. I do the jogging on the beach. At the end of the day, when you've really poured it on and you've done all the stuff, self-confidence grows. That self-confidence affects your health. It affects your future. It affects your psyche. So this is true. One of the great powers is self-confidence. Self-confidence means willingness to do whatever it takes to achieve. Some people say, well, I'll do it for a little while and see what happens. You know, I'll try a couple of things. If that doesn't work, I'm out of here. And all of us know that that kind of person doesn't have much of a future. But if you're willing to do whatever it takes. If I have to learn a couple of things, I will learn those things. If I got to learn 5 or 6 things, I'll learn all 6. If I have to take an extra class, I'll take an extra class. If I've got to read the books, I'll read the books. If I have to consult with people who know more than I know, I will do the necessary consulting. Whatever it takes, I will do. That starts to develop unbelievable self-confidence. Self-confidence also comes from the ability to rise above your circumstances. To rise above what happens, the petty little things, the discouraging things that would sink everyone else's ship except yours, that would cause someone else to quit early in the day, but you keep going. That kind of willingness to overcome all circumstances, whether it's the little challenges or the big challenges. If you're willing to do that, I promise you, this kind of power will work for you, and in you, the variable, it'll make a difference.
I want you to remember this as well. There's a power to the way we use the two B's, our brain and our body. See, self-confidence can also be a state, a physical state. It's very difficult when you're moving your body, sitting up straight, breathing deeply, right? You're in that physical, strong state of being, right? Right after a workout, during a workout is when we feel our most confident because our body's at a peak state. One way to generate self-confidence is to move your body into a strong state of being. Move your body. Literally, movement creates confidence. If you think about some of the peak times of your life, whether that be the fun time you may be having with your partner physically, intimately, or laughter, or peak performance running, right? Or your great accomplishments. Yes, there's a commonality of the way our body is moving at that time. If you think about the times when you're the least confident, it's usually when you wake up in the morning, isn't it? It's the most down, the most fearful, the most anxiety, or before you go to bed at night. These are two times most people experience the most amount of self-doubt, is right before bed and right when they wake up. Isn't that interesting? One of the reasons is because of how we're moving. We're laying down, we're hunched over, our breathing is shallow, there's no physical movement whatsoever. This creates a state of self-doubt right before we sleep, right when we wake up. Or if you're just kind of depressed or sick, self-doubt starts to kick in, doesn't it, right? If you ever had an injury and you couldn't move like you'd like to, that stagnation of the body begins to create self-doubt and strips us of our self-confidence. So moving our body is a gateway to self-confidence. And then our brain as well. We have to take control of our thoughts. We have to scratch the negative ones when they come in and replace them with great ones. Now, I don't believe self-talk works all the time, but I believe saying, I am strong, I am good, I intend, I'm a good man, my intentions are pure, I'm a good person, I make a difference in the world, I'm kind, I'm gentle, I'm generous, I'm strong, I'm faithful. Beginning to repeat these thoughts to myself, and these words do generate self-confidence. I keep the promises I make to myself. I'm a man of my word. Begin to talk to yourself and think these thoughts. When you combine your brain and your body, you scratch the self-doubt. You lose those four stupid beliefs. I am my accomplishments. I am my possessions. I am what other people say I am, or I am what I look like. These are completely flawed beliefs. We scratch those. We scratch them. We understand the process of stacking self-confidence in our life. We know we are the content of our character. And lastly, give yourself some credit, will you please? And I'm going to tell you where to give yourself credit. And that is in the area of your intentions. A lot of my confidence comes from the fact that I keep the promises I make to myself. I know my self-doubt are thoughts that were given to me when I couldn't even defend myself as a young little boy. I know that I'm not my accomplishments. I know I'm not my possessions. I know I'm not what I look like. And I know I'm not what other people say I am. I understand the process of building self-confidence. I scratch the negative thoughts in my life. But I can tell you this, the last place I get my confidence from is my faith and my intentions. See, I know I intend to do good. Not enough of you are giving yourself credit for your inherent goodness. And I mean this. You're special in that regard. You're perfect in that regard. Just ask yourself, what are your intentions? As an individual, as a man or a woman, do you intend to do good in the world? Do you intend to want to help people? Do you intend to be a light in people's lives? Do you intend to make a difference? Do you want to live a good life where you've helped change the world and change other people's lives? Have you ever just asked yourself that? Do you? Because if the answer to that is, you know, I don't spend enough time thinking about how good my intentions are. I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to do bad things. I don't want to take advantage of others. I really intend to do good. You know what? You need to give yourself more credit for the power of your intentions. There's a power in life of giving ourselves credit just for the intentions we have. Just ask yourself that. There's two types of people in life. There's the people who intend to do harm, to take advantage of people, to cheat, to cut corners, to cause hurt to others for what they think will be their own gain. Then there's people who want to be a light. They want to make a difference. They want to help. They want to contribute. They want to be somebody. They want to honor their God. They want to make a difference in the world, and their intentions are good. Too often in life, people with great intentions don't give themselves credit for how beautiful and wonderful those intentions are. And so today, just take this inventory of all the things that are wonderful about your intentions, and then just take an inventory of your faith. As a person of faith, I know that I'm favored. I know that God wants me to do good in the world. I know that I was made in His image and likeness. There's a power to that. There's a comfort to that. There's a confidence that comes from that.